Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you about a super underrated cut of beef. This steak is super tender and absolutely flavorful. And if you don't already know by the title of this video, today we're making flat iron steaks. These steaks right here come from the chuck or the shoulder of the cow. And now I know what you're thinking, the chuck isn't usually super tender. But as long as you cut these against the grain, they're going to be pretty tender. And since these steaks come from the chuck or the shoulder of the cow, they're going to be super flavorful and super beefy. Just like the Denver steak, this is a super underrated cut of beef. Real quickly, I want to say a huge thank you to Good Ranchers for sending me these amazing steaks, and now let's get started. Alright, to start, I have my flat iron steaks here, and they are vacuum sealed, so let's get them out of the packaging. As soon as you get them out of the packaging, go ahead and place them on a paper towel to pat dry. We'll pat our steaks dry, and you'll notice when you take a steak out of a vacuum seal bag, it'll have noticeably more juices, and you want to pat that dry because it will prevent you from getting a nice crispy and strong crust. You want to make sure you get all sides. Now you want to place these on a wire rack. Now real quickly, let's just take some time to appreciate that marbling. Now we're going to season all sides with just salt. Now I'm going to leave these in my fridge for at least an hour to overnight. This is called dry brining. If you don't have time to do this, go ahead and season it right before cooking. After the dry brining process, you'll notice that the meat has darkened in color and it's nice and dry on the exterior. I'll go ahead and add some freshly cracked black pepper. On all sides. You want to make sure your pepper is ground fine. That way, the coarse pepper chunks don't create a barrier between the pan and the steak. And now a little bit of garlic powder. Again, making sure to season all sides. Really mop up that seasoning on all sides. There we have a nicely seasoned flat iron steak. Now in a hot pan, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of avocado oil to coat the bottom. Now I'm going to lay my steak in, pressing it down. You want to hear that amazing sizzle. For this cook, I'm using a cast iron pan, but I would recommend using any heavy bottom pan, such as a cast iron skillet or a stainless steel pan.
Now after you get a good sear, go ahead and flip your steaks. When you flip your steak, you should start to see the crust forming. Now we're going to add butter, rosemary, thyme, and crushed garlic to our pan, lowering the heat. Not only does basting your steak give your steak a better flavor, it also helps it become juicier. Once your steak is to your desired doneness, we're going to go ahead and rest on a wire rack for about half the time we cooked it. Resting ensures that when we cut into the steak, all the juices will stay in the steak and not leak out. Now slicing into the steak, that is absolutely amazing. Now you want to make sure with the flat iron steak to cut against the grain, and you'll see the grain or the fibers running. You want to make sure you cut against that, as seen on this video.
Now we're going to try this amazing steak. Cheers! Absolutely delicious, super beefy, super flavorful, and just an absolutely tender piece of steak. For this cut of steak, you really want to make sure that you cut it against the grain, because if not, it's not going to be as tender. And again, I just think that the flat iron steak is one of the more underrated cuts of beef, and it's not as well known, but it's super delicious and I would highly recommend trying it. I would highly recommend getting a meat thermometer, and it really helps know your internal temperature to cook your steak perfectly to your desired doneness. The one I use is this one right here, and I'll link a few that I use in the description down below. I just want to say a huge thank you for watching this video, and comment down below what other cuts of steak that I should cook. As always, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those post bell notifications. Thanks for watching.